Okay guys, here we go. This is going to be the next stage, which is sewing on your appliques. This is actually really easy, but it is a little time consuming. So what I would recommend first is that you pin it down. Sometimes I don't pin my appliques down and then I always regret it because it always kind of slides a little bit and it's never perfectly center. So if you want it to be perfectly center, definitely take the time to pin it down. I just use some safety pins so that I don't poke myself, because I'm prone to getting poked by pins. So you just grab yourself a nice long piece of yarn. I'm like enough to wrap around there pretty substantially. And the first time I did this, I did it using the white. I took it out because you could definitely see those stitches a lot. So I would recommend using your background color, not the foreground color, because too, you're going to be stitching on the top sections, but you definitely don't want there to be random white stitches in the back. So if some of them do show through a little bit, it won't be as visible. So I would just start, I pinned the bottom 3 and I'm gonna start up here at the middle and the top. Luckily our daisies are perfectly, the numbers are perfect, so makes it easy. So this little guy right here in the middle is at the top, and we're just gonna go ahead and start there. I'm just gonna start by making a knot, and what you wanna do is you're going to grab the top of this yarn, doesn't really matter where, anywhere that's close. I decided on these guys, oh, actually I'm gonna come down here. I've decided on these guys that I'm gonna sew on about that line so that it still has like the 3-dimensional quality of it, but it's not floppy all over the place. So also because these lines kind of touch each other so that they're not, you won't have a lot of gap in between, so you won't have random yarn hanging out over here. So I'm gonna start down here. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a little knot right there to get started. Okay, and this, we'll tuck that in there later. So the deal here is that you don't want to go all the way to the back and you don't want to go all the way to the front. You just want to grab the back part of that yarn right there and just secure it down. So that you can't see the blue in the front and you can't see the blue in the back. And that is pretty much all you do. And it doesn't even matter where you grab it. Just make sure you grab it in an inconspicuous place that's kind of solid all the way around. And I try to make the stitches kind of close together so you don't have just like a string of yarn. You're not going to see it because it's going to be underneath. But at the same time, you don't want it to be, you don't want it to stand out too much. So the smaller piece, the smaller the stitches are, the better. I also found that you don't want to stretch this because otherwise you end up like, you can definitely see the stitches back there if you stretch it. So see, so you can't really see, can't see any blue in the front, can't really see what's going on there, and you can't see anything going on in the back. So it works out pretty well. And then you just continue on and kind of stick with the same line all the way around. That might be too close to the front. Here, let's grab back here. They don't have to be spaced perfectly because daisies are not spaced perfectly, but if you are a perfectionist and you want them to be spaced perfectly, you can take the time to do that if you want. I just take the pin out as I go. It's really just to keep them from sliding while you're working. This is kind of hard to do upside down. It's probably easier to do when you're holding in your hand. I'm just trying to do it for the camera, so I'm at a weird angle. Every once in a while, just kind of make sure everything's laying out right the way you want it to. Once again, I would like to point out that I am not a really good sewer. So if you are watching this and you are appalled at my choices, that is okay. If you would like to give some tips on how to do this better, you are welcome to do that. My feelings will not be hurt because I like to learn new techniques too. Three petals left. That's going pretty fast. I'll probably do this on fast motion for you, so it'll go really fast. Okay, we're on the last one. I'm going to go ahead and knot that off. Just like that. Make sure you can't see anything in the back. Looks pretty good. And there you go. So then all I do, now how you weave in your ends could be different depending on the situation. And this one, I think I'm actually going to weave in the ends in the lines just because this is so open. Usually if there is an applique that's pretty tight and you can't see behind it, I'll just like tuck the little ends behind it and you don't even know they're there. But I think on this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and weave them into the row, just like you would on a normal, when you're weaving in your ends normally. And that's it. Probably the shortest video I've ever done. How to sew on an applique. If you have questions, let me know, and I will help you out.